Good to go.
Good evening, snooker fans and snooker world. This is the 15 Red podcast live on Facebook on this Tuesday, the 4th of May 2021. We're going to review the whole championship of the World Snooker Championship 2021 this year. And joining me for that review is Mike in Vancouver. Good afternoon, Mike.
Good evening. How are you, Graham?
I'm good, thank you very much. Nice to see you in your bright and shiny Arsenal shirt.
Yeah, I figured I'd put it on today. It's beautiful here, so why not?
It brightens up the room, doesn't it, a little bit as well?
Yes, it does.
And I was just going to say, I'm glad it's not a Man U shirt with current times.
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
Deary me. Terrible what was going on down there. Anyway, what we'll do first is shall we review the final? Because I know you've got all the notes from it.
Let's do the final first.
So, of course, session scores, please. And, I'll let you take that away.
So, first session, Sean won 5-3. Second session was 10-7 Mark. Third session was 14-11 Mark. And winning the trophy, 18-15 was Mark. So, I can't say I'm surprised.
No, but at the start of the tournament, when the draw came out, we never expected them to be in the final. No. I didn't think Murphy would go that far at all. After Gibraltar Welsh Open, didn't see it.
No.
Because as we'll see in our season review tomorrow, Murphy hasn't been consistent this season. He's had a bad season. He admitted it in his post-match interview. So, yeah, very surprised to see them both in the final. And another surprise to me about the number of century breaks they had in it as well. Not many.
Are you referring to the final itself?
I'm just referring to the final, yeah.
The final, there was 5 centuries, 3 by Mark, 2 by Sean.
Very surprising that it's that low for them two quality of players, and for the standard that they can produce. Very poor. I thought it was a poor final, in fairness, compared to other finals that there have been down the years.
Well, maybe I'm going to be a bit more generous than you. I think it was better than the one the year before, where Ronnie won in an empty arena, essentially, barring the 300 people that could get in on the last day.
Yeah, true. Okay, true.
But I mean, it wasn't like other finals. I would agree. It was pretty average, maybe. Like, I mean, Sean, unfortunately, didn't score as well as he did against Kyron. Like, Selby was making the frame-winning breaks.
He was doing enough. He was just doing enough to win the frames, I thought. He wasn't actually convincingly winning them.
No. Yeah.
And I thought towards the end, Murphy was playing the better. He had the momentum going into them last couple of frames. If he'd got to 17-16 at that point, he shouldn't have took the red on. I think he should have played safe.
Yeah.
But if he'd got that frame, I think he would have got 17-all. I think he would have maybe won the match because he was on a real momentum.
But on the run of the entire final, I would have to say Mark Selby was the better player.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I thought most of it was a bit scrappy. I thought most frames were very scrappy, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would say a 6 or a 7 overall out of 10 for the whole final.
I said 6.5 for the whole final. Once Selby got ahead 10-7, that it looked like it's going to be an uphill climb for Murphy. And while it wasn't a blowout, you never felt that he was ever going to recover from that.
Yeah, when he went into that third session at 10-7.
10-7 down.
That was a backbreaker, really. So, and you said it at the time, didn't you? If it had got to 9-8.
Oh, game match on.
Yeah, you said it. You said it on the Saturday night.
Yeah.
That he needed that frame, and it's a massive difference, which Dylan disagreed with you.
Yeah, well, yes. Look, 9-8, it's game on. 10-7 against Mark Selby, being down 10-7. That's you're
It's
quite a way back.
it's an uphill struggle from there.
So, but
Massive uphill. Scott's been in touch, and he said that it was an 8 out of 10.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it was better than the previous year, I will say, where Ronnie beat Kyron, and
Yes,
Judd beating John, but the standard in that match was pretty high. 2019 final, Judd and John Higgins.
very high. Yeah,
Like,
Judd played out of his skin that day.
Even though the scoreline wasn't as close, I would say it was still a better match.
Yeah, I think that year John put up a real fight against Judd, but it just was too strong. Too strong.
Second session, but this one didn't, to me, never felt quite the same way. But I mean,
it just never warmed up, did it? Really?
So I'll read out Murphy's scoring for you through matching out Selby. So Murphy goes 65, 75, 64, 52, 98, 64, 77, 100, 56, 58, 100, and 103.
Yeah, and he got them 2 centuries back to back as well, which was at time when he needed them.
But that's the difference between Selby and Murphy was Murphy never made those like frame winning breaks when he absolutely had to, and Selby did. So Selby's scoring was 89, 85, 67, 86, 57, 90, 107, 54, 50, 69, 62, 66, 68, and 120.
Not forgetting, of course, the 54 and 50 and the 69 and 62 we got
same frames. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, back to back. So, yeah, on that, Selby did dominate the match totally throughout, and he was basically embroiling Murphy in a safety battle, which he didn't want to get involved in because Murphy doesn't play that way. And I think we mentioned that the other night, didn't we? The way that Selby was dragging him into it.
That when you look at all of Selby's matches through the whole tournament, he's played them on his terms. Nobody really. Bingham tested him, but the other guys really didn't test him a whole lot. Mafflin, he was overpowered. Mark Allen, he was playing for chasing the whole time. Mark Williams, outclassed.
Yeah.
Bingham tested him, but he still won. He was, but once he got
Bingham was a test. Bingham was a test. I think Bingham was his first test of the championship, and then Murphy tested him to a point. But I think when it was 17-13, 17-14, I thought that was when Murphy was coming back at him. I thought just Selby was edging, like he was getting a little bit nervous towards the end, and I thought maybe if he keeps missing, Murphy's got a chance to bring this back. And because Murphy was on his momentum, like I said, it completely swung Murphy's way. And he wasn't getting involved in the safety battle anymore. He was just going out there and potting. He was going for it then. And he did what he did against Wilson, just played out of his skin again, played at the top of his game.
Yeah. I would agree.
And then that last red, just a bridge too far, I thought he'd made his mind up to go for the pot, and he shouldn't have done.
I think it was a bit reckless on his part to not play a safety there as well. But he just made 100 and 103, and he was feeling pretty good, and he was trying to get right back into the match. So I don't.
Yeah, true, but it was a difficult shot to take on at that point. He should have just cut his losses a bit. Correct. But there you go. He'll live and die by that decision. So Virgo said.
So through the tournament, Mark Selby makes 12 centuries, and he also makes a 142.
Yeah.
And 12 centuries is also his world championship best. It equals 07. He made 12 when he was runner-up. He made 12 centuries on that tournament. So,
well, that's good. At least he's matched that one. Pretty cool.
He's also 4-1 in finals. I mean, that's a pretty good record as well. Sean Murphy made the highest break of the tournament at 144 versus Jan.
Yes.
You remember? And he made 11 centuries. So between the two of them, out of the 108, they made 23, which
Wow.
pretty decent percentage, I would say.
Yep, that's very good. Dan Curran says, have you heard that Colin Murray won't be presenting Eurosport Snooker next season?
Yes.
Wonder if Andy Goldstein will now go full-time, or maybe they'll promote Rachel Casey.
I did hear that. I saw, I think it was on Twitter or one of the social media platforms saying that he wanted to focus on other things and the work-life balance. So
that's fair enough.
He's a very good presenter. He's a very good presenter. Will be missed.
Colin Murray he's been there quite a while, and he's done other sports, and I think he might want to just do other things in life, like you say. There's other things that he might. I don't know where he'll go, to be honest, but good presenter.
Absolutely.
It'd be great to get him on here.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be good.
Yeah. Kelvin Platt has been in touch. Evening, lads. I agree. I wouldn't have played that red that Murphy took. Long potting was fantastic, but not a Selby fan. Selby was awesome, though.
He was. I mean,
Matt Andrews, monitoring, says evening.
Okay, that sounds like a new name, but
hi Matt.
Nice to chat.
So I think we agree that Murphy shouldn't have took the red, but he was feeling good about himself at the time. Like you said, 2 back-to-back centuries. Yep. So
he had a fantastic tournament. I mean, he had a horrible season, as we've documented, and for him to come through and he beat Mark Davis, he beat him 10-7. He then beat Jan Bintao. He was ranked 10th, and he was coming in with some accolades.
I thought that was a real tough match for Murphy at the start of that. I thought Bintao might get him, to be honest.
He then beats Judd Trump, the world #1, and all kinds of pressure on him, and he beats him handsomely, I would suggest. And then
flattering over Judd, because I don't know, like Sean played really well to come back, though, and again against Wilson.
Same thing. He was down 10-6.
Yeah.
He went 13 of the last 15 frames.
That's 2 comebacks in 2 matches.
Yeah. So we know he didn't win the world title, but I mean, let's give Murphy a big shout out. He did very well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think the whole idea of him with this new energy and the fist pumping and getting engaging with the crowd, that suits him. That's part of his game. Forget about the opponents thinking he's being disrespectful. He needs that interaction, that energy from the crowd. Well,
he's a wonderful character, is Murphy, and he's so genuine, and he's down to earth. He wears his heart on his sleeve all the time, and he doesn't speak out. And sometimes he just says the truth like it is. I've had a bad season, and he says it from the heart. I feel every time he says something, and he's a good ambassador for the sport. Actually, Murphy.
Yes, he is.
I do like him. I do like him very much, and I'm bigging him up because I think he's had a fantastic tournament. Yeah. Like you said, I will back that up, Mike. That the performance against Wilson was absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it was, because at 10-6, you've got to figure Kyron's in good position. He was playing well himself. So definitely performance of the tournament for me. That.
Yeah, performance player of the tournament. Would you say?
Well, when you look at the caliber of opponents he's beaten, I have to say yes. He beat Trump, and Bintao, Kyron Wilson, and Davis, and he took Selby to 33 frames to win the title. So he has to be.
And to come off a bad season and do that, like we said, that's wow. So let's go through the tournament then, Mike. So first round, first match, Ronnie O'Sullivan beat Mark Joyce 10-4. An expected win for Ronnie there.
Yep, no surprise there at all.
Yeah, Anthony McGill beats Ricky Walden 10-5. Now, that was a bit of a surprise, I thought, because I thought McGill, yes, I thought McGill would win, but by 5 frames. I thought Walden might have put up a bit of a better show than that.
Yeah, because I hadn't seen much of Anthony McGill, so it was kind of hard to figure what was going to happen there. But yeah, he was very good in his band. He deserved to win. No stunning surprise there.
No. So. Dan Cowan says, let's be honest, Judd was poor all tournament.
Yes, he was, I think.
And Selby about 132,000 behind Judd now in money wise.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and Calvin said, I think Murphy is in the top 5.
He is. Yep.
The top 5 rankings now, and Selby is 2, Ronnie is 3.
Yep.
So I think Judd's staying at 2, and I hope Murphy plays next season. I hope Murphy plays like next season. It's the best I've seen him play. Yep, agree.
I think that's a fair claim. Yep.
Yep. So Ding and Bingham have a decider in the first round.
Great match. And Bingham actually had a really good tournament as well. I know he lost in the semis, but
I think he did.
So
like he did in 2000 when he won it. I thought he was on the way to doing that again.
Yeah, he was only 2 frames short of beating Selby. So, but yeah, he had a great tournament, and I'm not surprised he beat Ding. I know it was close.
Yeah, Ding's suffering badly.
Yep.
Well, I hope that he can get home. Hopefully the restrictions have lifted, hopefully for him to go and see his family, do him a world of good. Agreed. And then he might come back a little bit better in next season.
Agreed. I'd like to see.
One of the shocks of the first round came when Maguire got beat 10-4 to Jamie Jones. Well, and Maguire was up in that match 3-0.
I mean, it's not as Scott said, and he's right when he says it's not the fact that he lost; it's the scale of in which he lost. He was up 3-0, and then he lost 10 of the next 11 frames to fall out 10-4. It just seems a little bit alarming, I would say, from a Maguire fan standpoint.
But is Maguire, as we've said, is Maguire a Crucible player?
Well,
his record speaks for itself at
Crucible. Yeah, that's where I was going to go with it. His record speaks for himself on that one. Probably not, I would say.
Yeah, probably not. Next, well, nearly a scare for John Higgins in the first round against Peng Fei. John was down at one point, wasn't he? By I think it was 6-2,
7-3, I think.
7-3 down, and then he wins. Yeah,
definitely the last 6.
The last 7 frames.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, Higgins was on the brink there. I thought he was gonna go at that point.
Yeah.
I thought Peng Fei might just push on through, but Higgins got the better of him in the end.
Yep. No surprise, but it was surprising how it played out.
Williams and Craigie next, 10-4 to Williams. No surprise there.
Nope.
I thought Craigie did all right in the early frames, taking 1 up. I think he went 1 or 2 up.
Yeah, he won the first 2, and then Williams just kicked it into high gear and just walked away with the win.
Yeah, again, no surprise there. Mark Allen beating Houchon 10-2, another big margin.
Yeah, we see quite a few of these through this tournament. Actually, when you think back, it seems like some very heavy defeats by many frames.
Houchon, would you say that that's a fair result, really, in that match?
Well, Mark Allen played very, very well, so probably a fair reflection, I would say.
Okay. Mark Selby beating Mafflin. Well, that was a surprise for me, beaten by the margin that he did, because I thought Mafflin was a better player than that, but Selby just outclassed him.
No question. That was the beginning for Selby, and yeah, he never looked back. That was a great performance.
Yeah, I can't really say disappointing for Mafflin because Selby was just the better player. So
correct.
Neil Robertson beat Wembo 10-3, another massive win.
Yeah, no surprise who won, but again, it's these margin of the margins in which there's the winners by 7 frames again here. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So we'll review them scores in a minute.
yeah,
Lazowski, Carter, decider.
yep.
That was a good match, actually.
That was a good match.
Lazowski coming through 10-9. That was a good match.
Correct. I agree with you on that. That was one of 4 deciders in the tournament, and that was a very good match. I enjoyed that one.
Apart from the Bingham and Ding one, you could actually say that was possibly one of the matches of the first round.
Yeah, I would say it's the second best match in the.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, got some more comments here. Ding match was excellent with Bingham, says Kelvin, and also I wasn't shocked but surprised at 10-4 with which match are you on about there?
Mark Williams, maybe, or Jamie Jones and Maguire.
Probably Maguire and Jamie Jones, yeah. And also Matt says it felt like the winner was going to come out of the Bingham Selby match. Those two were hitting each other like a couple of boxers.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Yeah, good straight.
Although saying that, he's right that was the more compelling of the two. The way Murphy was playing, if he played the way in the final as he did in the semi-final, you could argue there might have been a different outcome.
Yeah, you could say that he would have won.
Murphy was scoring like a madman against Kyron. He was getting in and he was making frame-winning breaks. He hardly did any of that in the final. Like one visit snooker.
Yeah, but there again, there's an argument there that says that Selby put him into that safety battle that he didn't want to get into, and it slowed him up.
What? Selby in all of his matches, including the final, dictated how the match was going to be played and how it was going to be won, and that's why he's champion. And he's to be credited for that.
Just look at these breaks, Mike. Right? He had in that Murphy in them last few frames against Wilson. He had a 120, a 76, a 78, a 91, 117, 77, and 58 to win the match.
There you go. And now in the final, his best breaks were back-to-back 100 and 103, and it happened in frame 32 and 33. So how do you expect him to win a match when he's making his best runs in frame 32 and 33?
Well, yes, very true. But I thought that he was, like I said, momentum was swinging his way at that point, and I thought he would have come through at that particular point. Even though Selby was 1 frame away, I still felt Murphy had the balance of play there, because he wasn't getting, like I said, he wasn't getting involved in a safety battle. Yeah,
he relaxed. So he went for it. He knew he has to play his game and go out on his own terms. But it was interesting in that sense. But I never felt at any point that Murphy was actually going to come back and win the match from 10-7. I just didn't feel there was any pressure on Selby.
Well, like I said, I agree. But when it got to 17-13 and 17-14, I thought Murphy had his chance then.
He had a chance, but in all likelihood, he wasn't. Was he really going to come all the way back?
Well, at that point, yes, I believe he would, because he had the momentum.
I guess that's where we're different. I didn't think there were. The only pressure that Selby felt was self-inflicted pressure, not pressure from Murphy.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, yeah. But Selby was getting a bit nervy towards the end.
Oh, he was. I would agree with
that. Okay, so we're on to Barry Hawkins beating Matthew Selt, 10-4. My boy going out quite easily in the end.
Yeah, no real surprise there. I mean, he got 4 frames against Barry. That's pretty good.
Yeah, Selt was a good growing player towards the start of this tournament. He come through the qualifiers quite well. He had a good run in Gibraltar, and he just fell short. But Hawkins maybe just a step too far, bit of a hard challenge. Kyron Wilson beating Gary Wilson 10-8.
Good match. That was a good
Yeah,
match.
Gary Wilson played very well.
Kyron was down 5-1 and found a way to win.
Yeah.
So that's
For a 10-8 scoreline, that's pretty decent. Gary Wilson, obviously semi-finalist a couple of years ago. So Sean Murphy beating Mark Davis 10-7.
no surprise.
Yeah, Yang Bingtao beating Martin Gould 10-6.
That was a good. Actually, it was a good match. I mean,
I thought Gould did well there.
So,
I thought Gould was all right.
yeah, so did I.
Not brilliant, but he was okay.
Yep.
Gilbert beat Wakeland 10-4, quite an easy one.
Easy, yeah.
Yeah, and Trump beating our friend Liam Mayfield, of course,
No
which I was a
surprise.
little bit. I was upset for Liam, to be honest, at the time.
He did himself good. He played pretty well, in all fairness to him.
At 133 as well to match.
So, in all fairness, he did all right.
Yeah. So the matches of that round, then, Mike, you would have to say, would be Dingham Bingham.
Correct.
And Lazowski Carter.
Absolutely.
And maybe Wilson and Wilson.
That would be my third. That's gold, silver, and bronze in that order, right there.
Yeah.
Gold,
Okay.
silver. Yep.
So second round, the match of the second round.
Yep.
McGill and O'Sullivan.
Great match. Best match of the tournament to this point.
Yeah, and McGill, 10-all. Well, he was actually 10. Was he 10-7 up? Yeah, 10-7. Yeah. Ronnie come back to 11-10.
Yep.
And then 11-all, 12-11.
12-all.
And incredible comeback from McGill at 12-11 down.
Yep. Absolutely.
That was sensational. I honestly thought that he was going out, but for Ronnie to commit a waistcoat foul is unlike him. But he did that in the decider against Wilson, champions, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years ago. Yeah. He should know better than that, Mike, by now. Bingham beating Jones quite easily. 13-6.
No surprise there. No surprise at all.
Now, this was a surprise. Williams 13, Higgins 7.
Well, yeah, I'm not too surprised because Mark Williams looked much better than John in the first round, and like their head-to-head is pretty close. So I wasn't surprised no matter what the result. I'm just surprised John lost by 6 frames, really. And it was a lot worse. John won 3 in a row just to make it respectable.
I suppose you could argue that he had a tough first round match, Higgins. Maybe you could put that in, but he had a few days off to recover, so probably not. I don't know. Maybe Williams was just. Well, Williams was better on that.
He was there's no doubt about it.
Excellent. Mark Selby beats Allen 13-7. Selby was tremendous again in that match.
He was in the commander's chair the whole way. He no pressure from Allen at all. So 2 rounds in and Selby hasn't even been tested really.
Nope. Robertson 13, Lazowski 9.
That was a good match. I remember talking with Scott at the time, and we were talking about Jack Lazowski, and if he's going to step up to that elite level class, we were hoping to see something out of him. Looking back at it, he performed pretty well in that match, I thought, Lazowski.
Yeah, I thought he did all right, but Robertson again, class just told, and to get him over the line in the end. Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't like super. I think it got to like 7-7, and then Robertson kind of turned it on in the back half of the match. But Jack Lazowski played pretty well. So
he was in the match a little bit, but like I say, Robertson just got the better of him. Okay, so was gutted when Ronnie went out against McGill, says Kelvin. But he played well. And Williams was devastating against Higgins, no doubt about it.
Yeah, he was.
Matt says Williams was playing a different style to Selby in some ways, hard to play against, with a mixture of attacking and tying up frames.
I would acknowledge that was very much part of his repertoire. He wasn't far off in that. That's very
well. We'll get to the match in a minute, but that's why Selby beat Williams by tremendous
margin.
scoreline. Hawkins losing to Kyron Wilson 13-10. Again, not really much of a surprise there.
It's not a surprise. It was just a tough one to call because Barry has such a good record at the Crucible. 11 consecutive seasons of at least the second round for him.
Yeah.
So, and Kyron actually is really he's cut out for these longer matches as well. The last couple of seasons, he's gone quarterfinals, finals, and then
semis.
Final this year.
I think maybe Kyron might be one for the final next year.
Yeah, maybe so. You've got to think he's going to be moving up here. Like I could definitely see some progression for him.
Oh yeah, he is definitely progressing, and another semi-final, one last year, final last year, semi this year. So yeah, that's a great run.
Yep, agreed.
And I wouldn't be surprised, like I say, if he was in the final next year.
No.
Okay, so Murphy beats Bing Tao 13-7.
Bit of a surprise.
Yeah, because Bing Tao was again. I thought he was looking good at one point.
Well, he looked coming into the tournament. He had a pretty decent season. I know he didn't. The Masters is not a ranking event, but he did win the Masters, and he was coming up with some pretty decent results through the season. So you kind of figured, with Murphy not having such a good season and him having a pretty good season, I kind of expected Yan to come through. But credit to Murphy, he did what he had to do, and he got through comfortably.
He did. Six frame difference there as well.
Six frame difference there.
Yeah. Trump easily beating Gilbert 13-8.
No surprise there. Judge still hadn't been tested to this point.
No.
He kind of was in second gear, if you will, to this point.
He wasn't firing on all cylinders at all. And, so I noticed that a comment came through on, I don't know what group it was, but they were stating that if Trump was playing anybody else, he wouldn't have won that match because he wasn't his best at all. No,
you kind of wonder about him. Is he? Would you classify him as a Crucible player?
I mean, no. Well, I mean, not really. I think he's just like, shall we say, a Hawkins or a Robertson kind of player.
Well,
would you class him?
I know Barry Hawkins hasn't won a World Crown, but Barry Hawkins, I would make the claim, is a more consistent performer there. Out of the three, I would have to say Barry, and then Judd, and then Neil Robertson.
Okay. All right. Maybe Trump is a Williams, possibly. Kind of player.
He's still pretty young. He's 31, right? So
yeah,
he's got lots more to go. But as we speak, I would say he's got some room to improve. Even though he's won.
Yeah, and but quarterfinals will be disappointing for him, I feel.
Agreed. Yeah, that's a disappointing.
Yeah. So that the second round best matches for you then. We've got O'Sullivan McGill.
That's my gold.
Your silver.
Silver would be Kyron over Barry.
Okay.
And bronze would be Murphy over Yan Bintao.
That's an interesting three there. We can't do that all the way down, so
no.
we'll
just go with the gold medal ones for the.
We'll just go with the gold.
Quarters and semis.
Okay, so quarters, another match of the round. I would say you'd have to give this the gold, in my view. McGill and Bingham. Wow.
Yeah, this one was the best match of the tournament, I think, because it had everything.
Okay. Yeah, it did.
It had breaks, it had swings. At one point, McGill was up like 9-7, then Stewart went up, and then Anthony came roaring back at him, and then obviously the decider, Stewart makes a 125. But that was, for me, that was the best match of the tournament.
Yeah, and 12-10 down, looking all over, and then McGill brings it back to the decider.
Yep.
That I think that because of that Ronnie win, the way he beat Ronnie, I thought it held him in good stead for that match.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
He
But Bingham played really well to get off the line. Actually, he got a century, didn't he, in the last frame?
Yeah, 125. But Bingham, I think he's very underrated. We don't see a lot of him, but he's a very good break builder. You know.
He is. Yeah, he's also a grinder like Selby is.
Yeah,
he'll also get you into a safety battle.
Well, we'll come to those two guys because there's a specific frame I want to talk about in the semi-finals. But Bingham and McGill, that was an excellent match. Bar none.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I think you'd have to, like I say, I know we'll go through them, but I think that's a gold match right there.
Yep.
Absolutely tremendous. Okay, so the next quarter was Selby and Williams, and Selby again dominant.
Yeah, again, same thing. He stamped his authority on the match right away and was never in any danger at all. There was no chance.
And I don't think Williams knew what had hit him, to be honest.
I know you were saying, like, well, somebody had said about, well, Williams was playing like an attacking and all that. But let's be fair, Selby was just excellent. He was
absolutely.
So
absolutely astonishing. He's outstanding. And, I think it was somebody on our comments saying that if you go for attacking shots against Selby, you're going to get beat.
Yep.
But
exactly.
But the thing is, the one thing about him is that he forces you into a shot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely he does.
Yeah. And if you don't get it, that's basically good night, on that frame anyway, the particular frame.
And also,
but yeah, classic player Selby, just so consistent. He's solid,
methodical,
absolute rock. He really is. But I must say, I didn't expect him to win the whole thing from day one. I didn't expect that, but
he had a good season too. He won 2 ranking events, and his season was pretty good. Like, it's not stunning that he won this.
Not studied, but surprising.
Yeah. I think that's what it was.
Kyron Wilson beats Robertson 13-8.
Well, I just remember waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and seeing Kyron Wilson win the last 5 frames, and I'm thinking to myself, why am I getting up to watch this? That's what I remember of that match.
Do you think that was a bit of a surprise? Well, it would have been a surprise for you, for Wilson to win the way he did?
Kyron played very well from 8-8 to win 13-8. He was sublime, for sure. But Neil Robertson, again, it's the same thing. We've got the same questions for him as we had with Judd Trump. He's had 1 semi-final appearance since 2010 when he won the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's really, really underwhelming.
That is bad when you think about it, because Rob, is he a declining player? Would you say?
No. See what it is his class is for best of 11s and best of 19s, 1-day finals, that kind of stuff. He's brilliant in the best of 11s. Like, he's always in with a chance. Best of 19 finals, 2-session finals, like the UK beat Judd Trump or lost in the English Open. But these multi-session, multi-day matches, there's just no practice for them. He has no correlation, and he fails miserably in the 3-session format. He failed miserably in the 3rd session. He went 0-5. So
yeah, and it's a bit of a strange one, isn't it, Robertson? I mean, he did well in the Lazowski match, very well.
Yeah, he played very well there. Yeah, that was a good match.
Yeah. And then in the same number of frame, the best of 25, the same, he's failed.
Yep. Exactly.
Arguably saying that Wilson's a better player than Zalski, but
Kyron,
okay.
Kyron was great.
Kyron was very good. When he's on it, Kyron, he's on it.
Agreed.
And he can beat anybody. We've had a message here from Aaron. Oh, that's okay. I think he's echoing what we're saying. The first comment he said is, I don't know him. Aaron Beshita.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said, I hope I got that right, Aaron. Sorry if I haven't. He says, I disagree. The way to beat Selby is to attack. You just have to make sure you're in stroking it in the ball well. When Murphy tried to go toe-to-toe in the safe exchanges yesterday, he lost some key frames. Selby was there for the taking at many points. He also says that Robertson isn't a crucible player.
Correct.
Even the year he won it, he relied on loads of cards to fall in his favour and had arguably the easiest route to the title in history, which he did.
Without question.
Correct.
That one we definitely agree on.
And now he comes up against some top guys. He can't do it.
Correct.
You know. Andrew says it was like Ronnie said. You really have to find a way of unlocking Selby's lock. Williams was playing a similar game, but not as good as Selby. You're going to come off second best safety-wise against Selby, so really all that leaves is attack. So to take your chances, as people did, have them. Yeah. So basically, we're saying that if you do go attacking against Selby, that's the way to beat them. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I mean, if you can keep him off the table, the better, right? But the problem is, you've got to be on your game to do it. If you're off your game, he will win. He will punish you for it.
Yeah.
Like in this final, his break building was superior to Murphy's. Selby had more frame winning breaks than Murphy did.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Murphy's best attack, if you will, was a 100 and a 103, and that was frame 31 and 32. And
32. And that was right at the end of the match as well. He was coming, like I said, I still maintain, Mike. I still maintain.
Yes.
I know we'll never know, but I still think that he was on the up. And if he come back to 17-16, he would have gone toe-to-toe with 17 over him and maybe won.
I'll maintain that Selby is the best front runner in snooker. And I don't think he was under any pressure after he got that last frame of the second session, 10-7. He could have had that frame. Murphy should have won that frame.
He should have, yes.
He should have, but he didn't.
I agree with you.
And that margin of 3 frames was, you knew Selby was going to go and ride that to victory.
Yes, I agree. But in the last 4 or 5 frames, Selby was, I think, a little bit under pressure, and Murphy was on top.
Yeah, but I would argue that was self-inflicted pressure and not pressure from Murphy.
Maybe the line, he was getting to the line and he was getting a bit edgy, but
that was the case.
Still, he was missing easy shots.
Oh, he did. But I just don't think Murphy had his chances. I agree with Aaron. Murphy did not capitalize in any way, and Selby did, and that's why he's the champion.
Fair enough. And Kelvin says, I don't think Robbo will win the title again. I agree, Mike, what you said.
Wow. Thank you, Kelvin.
He agrees with you. Somebody agrees with Mike. Okay, let's move on. So,
Sean Murphy and Judd Trump is where we're on the chart.
13-11.
I would argue that's the biggest upset of the tournament. I mean, when you saw that on paper, even though Murphy had beaten Davis and Yan Mintel, you still thought Judd was a heavy favourite.
Yes, absolutely. You'd have to say that was Murphy's tester match, and definitely Judd's.
Yeah.
And Judd said he wasn't on it. He said, I wasn't on my game. He admitted that.
Correct.
So
no, he did.
Murphy was playing the better snooker in the end.
He played very, very well, and Judd just couldn't get it together. The entire tournament, he was just one step behind, it seemed like. And
Yeah.
even when Trump made the comeback to get it back to 11-11, and I'm sure we all thought, oh, okay, here comes Judd now. This should be the end of it. Murphy,
And then Murphy goes to win the next two.
Credit. He dug his feet in and he found a way to win those last 2 frames at 11-11. And he was full value for advancing.
Absolutely. And to be honest, if you beat Trump, not saying that Trump's the greatest player or anything like that, because we know he isn't, but for Murphy to beat him and get to the final, well deserved. Absolutely well deserved.
Yep, no question about it.
I know he still had to beat Wilson, but he did that convincingly, didn't he? Let's talk about that. He beats him in the match of the quarters was Bingham and McGill.
Correct. Yep.
Yep.
I would say that.
So the semi then, Murphy beating Wilson, coming back tremendously well from 10-6 down.
You could argue. I mean, we could go way back. I haven't followed his career like super intensely, but I would say that stretch of like 15 frames where he won 13 out of 15 in that environment, that's got to be right up there for one of Sean Murphy's best performances.
Absolutely, I agree. And I totally agree. And that's why I'm maintaining that final frames against Selby. That's what he could have done again.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we cover the final quickly here.
But yeah. So you've got a frame you want to discuss about in the Bingham and Selby game?
Yeah. Do you? Well, it seems that it's created a lot of, noise and unrest about. I think it was frame 19. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where
yeah.
Bingham and Selby play like a 60-minute frame.
Yeah.
But for the purist, that was a spectacle. For me, that was the best frame of the tournament. It had a 20-minute safety exchange, and then they each got chances, and it went. I think Stewart fluked to blue, but inadvertently fluked it. He was trying to play like a snooker / safety.
That's
shot.
right. Yeah, he fluked the blue.
He literally fluked the pink.
Yeah.
He missed a shot so badly that it went around and hit every cushion and went into the top right pocket. You remember that?
Yeah.
And then he ends up. Selby plays a mediocre safety shot, and then Stewart wings it. But this whole thing about taking 2.5 minutes on a shot and all this.
Oh dear. I mean,
it's one thing I will say in defense of Selby is when he's in the balls and making breaks, he's as fast as the top guys are on the ladder. It's when there's a situation, he takes the extra time to analyze everything and make sure he knows what he wants to do. So in a way, he gets a bit of a bad rap.
Mm-hmm. And we spoke about this on previous episodes as well. Well, in the last 2 episodes actually, about shock times and shot clocks and jurisdictions and legality of a shot time. I don't think that there's anything wrong, and I've said this, I don't think there's anything wrong with taking as long as you want. I know it's not entertaining for some people, but if you're in a tricky situation, you've got to take that extra time. You've got to.
That's what he does, but it's not like he's doing it all the time. I found
he did there was a couple of times in the final. I think it was one frame where he did it 3 times over 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, I noticed that the BBC were very quick to put up his
the clock.
Very, very, very.
No way.
But look, the counter to that is he wants to make sure for certain what he's doing. He's analyzing the whole situation, and he executes his shot after that. Like, I didn't find it to be that much of a disruption, his pace. I don't believe he's doing gamesmanship. The game's built on etiquette. They call fouls on themselves.
They do.
So is he really trying to needle someone by taking a little bit extra time on certain shots?
Well, maybe like I said, the faster players. Maybe it's like Williams. He was trying to just shut him down.
Yeah.
And he did in the end. And Selby thought, well, that's it. I'm going to just outport you now, which he did. He overpowered him. So there is that, like, with the faster players. If he was playing Ronnie and like last year, so I think it was last year's semi-final when Ronnie was just belting the balls about and Selby called him disrespectful. That's another thing Selby can do. You know, like call you disrespectful just because you do that.
Well, yeah, but that's not a very good example. Simply because at the end of the day, Ronnie's allowed to play whatever shot he wants, just like
True.
Selby taking some time.
I agree. I agree.
I can't condone him for trying to hit the balls and hitting.
But my point was that it can get people to that level of frustration.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be bashing Selby for just taking a few extra seconds. It seems a little bit petty, maybe. You know.
Yeah.
Take a look at his average shot time for the season. Is it abnormally low? Like, is it really that slow?
It was about, what, 24, 25 seconds per shot or something like that?
Like, it's not outrageously slow. I mean,
no.
I don't know. You know, he's obviously playing to the situation and the magnitude of the match and all of that. He should be allowed that.
Yeah,
like any other player.
I honestly see nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. If it, like I said, if he wants to take as long as he wants, it's his shot, you know, and that's my view on it. I think.
And you're talking to me, and I'm personally not a fan of him, his style of play. He's a great player, I've documented, but I'm not going to sit here and bash him on time. If that's
no,
that's it, so be it.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that to mar anything.
Has there been an outcry of people? Oh, he's too slow. He's too slow. It's just a group of people that just don't like him, and they're going to do it.
Yeah, of course. And they never said anything on the BBC about it.
No.
So, or Eurosport, I don't think they did either. Matt Andrews says Selby has had an awful period of time with self-doubt. If Murphy had been able to get one frame closer, I agree we may have seen Selby struggle a little more with thoughts of last year. When someone's had that self-doubt recently, it doesn't take much for it to creep back.
Fair enough. Fair comment.
Also, the Ebden versus Ronnie match was an extreme, which I felt went too far when Ebden made the break of 12 in 5 minutes.
12, the slowest 12 break or whatever in history or whatever.
Yeah. Even though he knows what shots he's going to play, he's been a world champion. That was awful. But Mark, he was trying to slow Ronnie down psychologically.
But Peter was on average, he was actually a pretty fast player, Peter Ebden.
Yeah, he was. And everyone already said, he's slow and boring, didn't they? And there was a lot of them comments saying that. Mark Selby gets close to the boundaries, but pushing the boundaries is allowed. He's a fantastic player. Yeah, that's what Mike was saying there.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
And Kelvin said, I agree, Mike. With you again, Mike. That's 2 up for you.
Oh.
He said Trump wasn't at all at his best in the tournament.
Yeah, that was disappointing. He was the most disappointing performer at the tournament for me. Him and Neil Robertson.
Yes, very, very true. I agree. Robertson could have been better.
Yep.
So yeah, we get to the final. Murphy and Selby, obviously, and Selby wins it 18-15. We did the session scores earlier.
Yep.
So more importantly, the overall tournament had 108 century breaks, with the highest being 144 from Sean. 108. We broke the record.
No, not just break it, smashed it.
Smash it by, what was it?
8 centuries. It was 800 was the record.
Wow. And in the qualifying stages, Mike, they had 106.
Okay, very good.
So in total, I can't do the maths there, what's that, 214?
Gotta be, yep.
Yeah. That's pretty deep. That's pretty good. Got to say, what did the highest break prize get? So the highest break went to obviously Murphy, and he got
10 grand.
Yeah, 10 grand along with his 200,000.
500, 200, and the highest break. Max high break got 15 grand for the high break, including qualifying stages.
And who got the qualifying highest break? Mark Davis, of course, for 143.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly.
So overall, how would you rate the tournament as a whole?
I would say it was probably 6.5 out of 10.
Okay. I would have to go for 7, purely because the crowd was back from last year.
That's one check mark.
Yeah, I thought the crowd, obviously. I think the occasion did get to the two guys when they come out for that opening session. They were missing so easy balls in that first frame, and I think it's because of the electric atmosphere that was caused by the audience. But I thought the atmosphere was better in the last session.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure.
But I just want to say, and I think you concur with this, Mike, that the referees did a fantastic job. Paul Collier was absolutely amazing.
I thought the refereeing was very good, very high standard. Brendan Moore in semis with was it Ben Williams, I think, did Bingham and Selby. Ben Williams.
Yeah, I think he did.
Can correct me in the chat. And then obviously Paul Collier in the final with Jan Verhaas doing the video marking or whatever that was, the score marking.
Yeah,
and,
a bit.
Yeah, they were great.
Bit more. And what does Dennis call him? Taxi driving or parking attendant? Oh,
yeah.
Dennis, do we need to? Oh dear. But yeah, full credit to them guys. Full credit to Barry Hearn, of course, for getting that event at full capacity. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
The one thing I would say that was disappointing was there wasn't that many close matches. Like, it seemed like there was some pretty wide margins in most of the matches. Not all of them, obviously. But I didn't think there was as many compelling matches as I thought there might be.
No, I thought it was going back into the 1980s or something, Mike, just getting frames done early.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, full credit to, like you say, not many close matches, but there were, how many did we pick out? There was Bingham and Jungwei. Bingham and Jungwei. There was Lisowski and Carter. There was McGill and Ronnie. Bingham and McGill.
Yep.
And that was about it.
So standard level was it was pretty good. It wasn't the best we've ever seen. I think the fact that we lost Neil Robertson and Judd Trump and Ronnie, these guys generally when they're playing, the standard is pretty high.
Absolutely, yes.
And
and also we lost Williams in the quarters as well. Yep. And we lost Higgins in the second round, which doesn't normally happen.
No.
So Maguire was disappointing, very disappointing as well for me.
Yep.
I didn't get the agreement that Matt Selt's a very good player from Kelvin, by the way. He doesn't rate Selt at all.
Yeah.
But I thought he was a bit disappointed. I thought he could have been a little bit better, but done better. Yep. But hey, that's the tournament. And the full shout out, by the way, I've got to give a shout out to Chris Henry, who did a wonderful job in coaching the two finalists. And I think that's the first time in any sport where any coach has mentored the two finalists. Yeah, and he did a fantastic job.
Can you imagine that 2 months ago? He was on our show talking with us.
He was.
And here we are at the beginning of May, and he's got both finalists. And we talked about both of them on our show. Remember Selby and Murphy?
Well, Chris said in his interview, he said, well, on one side, I said it's a mixed bag of emotions in it, because on one side, I've got to congratulate the winner, who I'm mentoring.
Yep.
And then I've got to consolidate the loser, who I'm mentoring.
Yeah, exactly.
So he says maybe it should have been a draw. But yeah, fantastic. So yeah, that's our coverage and that's our review, Mike. Any parting shots? One question.
Okay, go ahead. I got one for you as well.
Who's the best rest player?
Best rest player?
Because they were saying that it's Murphy.
Yeah,
Dennis Taylor.
I'll agree with, who was that? BBC were asking that?
Dennis Taylor said that. But I will tell you that McManus said it was Kyron Wilson.
Yeah, I think it's definitely between those two. I'll go with Murphy. Who you got?
I think I'll have to go with Murphy as well. But
yeah,
Selby's up there.
He is.
I think Selby's up there.
He's stronger in other areas, though, I would say.
Yeah.
I got a question for you now, sir.
But dear me.
Okay. How many world titles will Mark Selby end up with in his career?
Oh, dear me. Okay, so let's say he's got 4. Between 5 and 6, I would say.
I'll put him in the same class as Ronnie, Ray Reardon, Steve Davis, and Stephen Hendry has 7, but I'll put him in the 6 club. He'll be in the 6.
Okay, I'd say 5 or 6.
So,
that's all I'm going with.
And Scott had a trivia question, and I said I would throw it out. If you're still awake, Scott, I'm throwing it out for you.
Okay.
What break building record does Neil Robertson and Ronnie O'Sullivan share at Sheffield? And we will answer it tomorrow.
Okie dokie. And Scott is with us tomorrow for the seasonal review.
It's the full 15 Red podcast team tomorrow. The original.
It is. The original, how it started. Yeah, I think that's at 6 o'clock tomorrow. And by the way, Matt just says one of his parting shots is Rob Walker does a great job. He does a great job of warming the crowd up, which helps the atmosphere.
And that is an excellent parting shot as well. And we will echo that sentiment. Very good.
And I think you should stick to that rather than commentary. But yeah,
and that's a good one too. Is that your parting shot?
No, I just want to say that my parting shot is that I was slightly disappointed on a bit of the tournament with the way that some matches were big margins. For some players to get knocked out when they did was a bit surprising, but overall, I think we had a good tournament and I think McGill had a great run this time by the way. But yeah, so that's my parting shot, and roll on next year.
My parting shot was going to be about the referees. I thought they did an absolute plum job the entire tournament, but I'll change it. I thought Lazowski and Trump in the commentary box was a breath of fresh air, and we need more of that next season. Yeah,
and not forgetting Hazel Irvine, who did a great job too.
Yep, absolutely.
And also the Richie, what's his name? The other guy that does it on BBC, Richie. Is it Richie?
Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember. Prasad or something. I think
we'll come up with it tomorrow.
But yeah, he did a great job as well, and all the cleaning staff at the Crucible too. I think they've done a wonderful job as well.
Yep.
And all the people who have to, test people when they come in and do all that stuff. I think they've done a wonderful job too.
Good shout out. Must
so,
great shout out.
Right.
All right.
Thank you, Mike. So
we're back at it tomorrow, and of course we will be in full force. Scott will be with us, and it's that is Graham in Burton-on-Trent, Mike in Vancouver. We're signing off, and we'll see you.
I was wondering when he was going to say it.
Good night, guys. See ya.
Good night. Cheers, Mike. Cheers. Bye.